Welcome to the second talk this week on our build up towards Saturday's main talk at David Lloyd's gym. So yesterday I talked a lot about the environment factors and how that leads to different changes in behaviour and how that instills certain habits and routines, which ultimately takes us on one path. Could be a good path, could be a bad path. Today I'm more talking about the process of the block, how to get in the right block, how to then move through the process towards a goal, and how to then to overcome the challenges that you face, that we all face towards that goal, but really how that starts from the beginning. Okay, so what I've drawn out here is a little diagram. I've got the block at the top and I've got all these kind of things that I'm going to talk about that enable you to firstly get in the block. So throughout my journey as a coach, as a runner, I've maybe been lucky and I saw this from a young age, but I understood this from a very young age. From a coaching perspective, I know people are never going to achieve the goal that they tell me because this isn't right. Because I know when these things come up, inevitably through the block, that it's just going to take them off into a different direction. Okay, you can almost think about this arrow as the direction that we want to go, and these things pull us off that direction. So getting this thing right at the top is very, very important to get to this end place. So what makes a good block, and how do you get in the right place, in the right environment to then move forward? So some things I put down here. First, I'm going to start with kind of healthy relationships. So this is the people around you, the people you have in your life. This determines whether you can go on this journey or not. So I'm talking about your friends and family, I'm talking about your work colleagues, I'm talking about your coaches, I'm talking about the runners that you run with through the week. Are these people the right people, and is it a positive relationship that's going to enable you to go on this goal process? That has to be in place before you even start. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Work, for most people, we're either in school, we're in work, or we kind of have another thing that we've got to do alongside this running. For the majority of people watching this video, it is a hobby and it's not necessarily your job. So you have a competing interest that needs to be, one, stable, and two, supportive of this certain goal that you've got. If it's not, it's going to pull you off on one of these things before you get there. We've got health at the top, as I talked about yesterday, being in that state of growth, in awareness, infinite possibility. We have to have our health sorted out. We need to be sleeping well and long. We need a healthy diet. We need to have a low level of stress. Otherwise, these things are going to catch you up. Okay? We need the right team around us, specifically in a running sense. So a physio on hand, the right coaching team, the right mentors who have been through this process and understand this process, so then they can help you stay on track. And the runners that you train with, because in sessions, to push you harder, to push you further, to do more, to fight through these challenges, to get towards that goal. It's really, really important. The training environment itself, so the ability to travel and to get out and to have the right tools, whether that's going to the gym, having a home gym, whether it's ability to travel to a track, ability to travel to specific terrain for your event in the hills, or to get on soft surfaces if you've got an injury problem. You need the right environment around you, and NEP as one club uses this very well in how we rotate sessions, and we use the best of the Northeast. We use the North York Mews, we use the tracks, we use the grass, we use the trails, we use the railway lines, we use the road. We have this variety depending on the training that we want in place. And then you need the passion, so you need the enjoyment factor, and a big enough why, but it's kind of more like an automatic. I guess when we talk about passion, we talk about, it's kind of like automatic enjoyment, isn't it? You don't just decide to be passionate about something, it comes from within. So if this goal you're not passionate about, it's going to get pretty boring pretty soon. And as soon as a competing interest takes over, you're just going to be pulled off that journey. And I guess the other thing you could put in here on the block is the right information. So having the right information in terms of what you need to physically do to then get better as a runner, which I haven't even included on the board, and that's, I guess, what you call running coaching. But for me, these factors are more important because it's quite easy to know what each runner needs to do. That's not really too complex at all. It's doing it. So you need all that in place to even start about thinking about a block. If you don't have that in place, get to work on getting that in place. Otherwise, there's no point going after a goal because these things are just going to stop you. Because as we move through down this line, through this block, this could be 16 weeks, it could be 8 weeks, it could be a year, it could be 10 years or whatever. This middle line is habits and routines. So as I talked about yesterday, depending on our environment, this develops certain habits and routines in our life that is either good for our goal or bad for our goal. And this is the fundamental part of going on a block. This is the only thing. We are a product of our habits and routines. So that could be you could either be someone that gets up on time to train in the morning, or you sleep in and miss training very often. I mean, that's pretty obvious which one's going to get towards a goal and which one's not. It could be that you eat unhealthy. You eat, cheap, easy food rather than making proper meals. So that's not going to help. It could be that, you tend to sack off sessions when you don't really feel like it. Or whatever. You could be quite specific. I mean, I do a task with people where we write down all of our current habits and routines. And this could be quite an extensive list. And then we have our goal. And then we look at what we're doing. And then we write down what habits and routines does someone who has already achieved a certain goal have? And then do your current habits and routines match up with the ideal habits and routines that you would need to reach a certain goal? And that's where the changes need to be made. So you need your habits and routines right as well before you even start this process. Otherwise, these factors are going to pull you off. So some factors that we all face in a training block in a week, really. We've got motivation, enjoyment, distraction, competing interest, time, fatigue, lack of visual progress, doubt and fear is at the bottom, because I'm putting that at the bottom because that's sometimes as we get close to the goal, people experience those feelings, or maybe at the start as well a little bit more. So, for example, motivation. Now, motivation is definitely overhyped because it's kind of how do you describe motivation? You can't really quantify it. It's a state of emotion, and emotions are fluctuating always depending on what's going on. So it's never going to be stable. So you need automatic habits and routines that is going to override when you don't feel motivated, because you just do it because it's a habit and a routine. So that needs to be in a good enough place. Enjoyment. Well, enjoyment links back, I guess, to the passion. Is your passion big enough to actually enjoy this process? Because if it's not, as soon as you don't enjoy, you're going to stop. Equally, if your habits and routines are really good, then even if you don't enjoy it, you'll probably still do it. How many people, let's say you do the same thing every Monday, but for example on the 8th Monday you're thinking, I don't want to do this, but you still go and do it. That's because it's a habit and routine. It's inbuilt. It's automatic. You don't have to think about it. We've got time. So as your training load is going up towards a goal, because then you're going to have to train more, you're going to have to put more in to then get to a better level. Have you got enough time in your week to facilitate that? And if you haven't, well, that's going to pull you off the journey. But this links back to, I guess, work. What's your other thing? Your team around you, could that help you? Your relationships, is that going to support you to have more time to pursue this goal? We've got fatigue. So I guess fatigue comes back to information. Why are we getting fatigued? Comes back to our habits and routines. Have we got bad habits and routines that's making us more fatigued? And then you could link that back as well, I guess, to training environment, health, the team around you to inform you on what the right decisions are to be made. We've got lack of visual progress. So basically, when we're doing a block, probably because fatigue's quite high, As fatigue goes up, freshness goes down, and it's a mask of fitness. It kind of hides fitness. It doesn't reveal it when you're fatigued. When you take the fatigue away, freshness goes up, and then you can reveal how fit you are. That's a natural process of a block. So that comes back to lack of information about what a block should look like, how you should feel. So then it links back to coaches and mentors who have been through this process to then inform you what that process should feel like by a certain point. So it's just information. We've got fear and doubt. So fear and doubt, well, it's a natural thing, as I guess we're testing ourselves, getting outside of our comfort zone. Links really to yesterday when I was talking about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, and how if we're on this growth journey and we're facing more difficult challenges, we're traveling to new places, we're meeting new people, we're testing our brain, and we're getting out of our comfort zone, so our comfort zone's getting bigger. If our comfort zone is bigger, doubt and fear are going to be smaller because we get more confident in more challenging situations. So if we stay in a fixed mindset, doubt and fear are going to be really high and they're going to be overwhelming. So this is going to pull us off our goal. You can see how all this intertwines with each other. So I have not talked about any practical element of training yet in this video or yesterday's video, because as you can see, it doesn't matter how good the training plan is, if these things aren't in place, the top bit, getting the block right in your habits and routines, all these things are just going to eat you up. You're never going to get there. It doesn't matter how much you think about that goal or how much you want it to happen. We need to get practical on setting this up for everyone. So this is where a lot of the coaching needs to be spent. But you can also do a lot of this yourself, and it's things we need to work on together, guys. Okay, so I shall leave it there on this video, and tomorrow I'm going to talk about something practical because you're probably sick of me talking about psychological stuff and all the emotional stuff. So we'll do something practical tomorrow. I won't make them too long the next 3 days, and look forward to talking about some of this stuff in more detail on Saturday and hearing your thoughts too. Thank you.